Prayer, heaven of freedom, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where the knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where the words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arm towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary deserts and of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-winding thought and action into the heaven of freedom. My father, let my country awake. This is recited from Rabindranath's collections. Thank you.
Thank you, Narayanan. Let's go ahead to the next part of the agenda. I think our Sidhu sir will introduce the speaker, esteemed speaker today, Sandeep Kumarji. Please introduce the speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. I'll introduce now. Dear FOSWLians, today we salute VSM Brigadier C. Sandeep Kumar, who was commissioned into the Martha Light Infantry in 1980. As an infantry officer, he has rich experience in counter-insurgency and anti-militant operations in the Northeast, Punjab, Sri Lanka, and the Kashmir Valley at both command and staff appointments. He also served Ladakh Scouts in the Siachen Valley, DBO, Depsang area in 1980s. He was deployed in Manipur and Nagaland when in Rashtriya Rifles. He participated in Operation Vijay 1999 to 2000 and was injured while in command of an infantry battalion on the LOC. He commanded the 1 Martha Light Infantry in counter-insurgency work at Northeast and was awarded Vishisht Seva Medal for success in operations against militants and anti-national elements. Brigadier C. Sandeep Kumar is an alumnus of Defence Services Staff College, Wellington, and College of Defence Management, Secunderabad. He attended a joint training capsule with UK Army organized under the aegis of Integrated Defence Staff in 2005. He has authored a guide for young officers joining armed forces. After retirement, he is involved in social service in Greater Whitefield, Bangalore. He is General Secretary of Force GW, a Bangalore Federation of Resident Welfare Associations. He is also Regional Director South of War Wounded Foundation and President of think tank Indus International Research Foundation. Now, Brigadier will advise us on national security, involvement of the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sidhu. Nice, sir, to have you here. Dear Sandeep ji, he is my neighbor here. He lives very close by to me. And when I asked him, he readily agreed to speak on this day. And the topic he has chosen is very vital to all of us. Last time we had a wonderful talk on a topic, disaster management, public participation. So this time we are having, security issues, how the public can help themselves along with the other governmental forces to protect ourselves. And without wasting any time, I request our esteemed speaker, Sri Sandeep Kumar ji, who is the Vishisht Seva Medal recipient, Emeritus, and he is a very active member, as I know him in Whitefield in various fronts. And it is nice that we could get some of his valuable time. Please go ahead, sir. I am muting everyone for the sake of convenience, except the speaker. And also all the videos will be off, including myself, except the speaker's video. Are you having any presentation, sir?
No.
Okay, fine. That's fine. Anyway, you are enabled as a co-host. You can use it. All others, kindly mute yourself. And I'm also muting everyone so that nobody will be able to open the mic until the talk is over. Speaker, kindly open your mic, sir.
Okay, thank you. The starting trouble always, there is little bit of starting trouble. It happens. All the same, now I wish to say good evening to all viewers. Thanks to friends of same wavelength for inviting me to interact with the august crowd of distinguished citizens of India, Bharat. I consider this opportunity as a great privilege to interact with you all. And I am sure there will be more questions and answer session. Rather than me speaking, I would just speak about maximum 20 minutes on what is the subject. Just before that, I would like to, inform you. I was commissioned in Maratha Light Infantry. Maratha Light Infantry, our patron is Shivaji Maharaj. So we fight in the same lines as Shivaji Maharaj. That is what we were taught. So since the introduction, there is some little bit of this thing. That's why I thought I should correct that particular. It is Maratha Light Infantry. It's an infantry regiment. On to the subject. National security is a nation's ability to protect its citizens' territory, economy, cultural heritage, data, sea lanes and sea maritime boundaries, space that is added now, and institutions are in various institutions from threats, both foreign and domestic, using military, economic, terrorism, cyber warfare, gray zone activities, and diplomatic means. So all these things which I said, they are being attacked using military, economic, terrorism, cyber warfare, gray zone activities, and diplomatic means. Most of them you are aware, but there are certain things which the current generation and maybe the what is happening now, the public is not aware. Expanding from traditional territorial defense against a full-fledged war like 1962 and 1971. Extending from that, it will include cybersecurity, internal conflicts like riots and all, terrorism, energy, food, and environmental stability. It's a government's duty to ensure the state's survival, integrity, and well-being of its people against dangers like terrorism, cyber attacks, data theft, gray zone warfare, economic coercion, and internal stability, encompassing a broad strategy for maintaining sovereignty, integrity, and stability. Key components of national security. Land border defense, protecting borders and countering armed aggression for India, it is three fronts. One in the west, one in the north, and now one currently developing in the east. Maritime defense, protection of maritime border, sea lanes of communication, which is very important for us, underwater boundaries, and island territories. Space defense, use of space is the latest threat. Protection of our satellites, usage of our space for aerial assaults, and total control of space is the key to our integrity. So space defense has made a big important, has become a very important aspect of very key in the key components of national security. Economic security. Ensuring a stable economy, protection of vital manufacturing and service hubs and resources, and freedom from economic warfare. So the another key component of national security as of today is cyber security. Defending against digital attacks on critical infrastructure like power grids, nuclear installation, rail and air travel infra, and data centers. And there are plethora of this because today we are in a digital world. Data security. And this data security is a continuous process 24/7, 365. Vital data centers and private data needs to be protected from any incursion or any collection of data or any stealing of data. Counterterrorism. Combating terrorist threats and activities in whatever way it comes. Terrorists can come in as our own citizen. Terrorists can be infiltrating and coming. Counterterrorism is a major activity which which is a major ingredient in the national security. Intelligence and counterintelligence, gathering of information and preventing espionage. So command, control, communication, intelligence, surveillance, and recce. All these things are part of intelligence and counterintelligence. This is a very important thing. This is also a continuous process 24/7, 365. So this is part of the national security aspect. So it is always there. And there are a number of agencies which are doing it. Now it is again, these are also digital centers which requires thorough protection. In over this, we are doing this, we have to ensure protection of that also. Diplomacy and foreign relations. managing internal relations, international relations to protect national interests. This is a very important aspect. Energy and food security, ensuring stable access to essential resources. In case of any war happening, this becomes very pertinent because without energy and food, the nation cannot survive. Then environmental security, addressing ecological threats and impact which can impact national stability, because this is also a continuous process which can happen. When I come to gray zone warfare, I will all these points will come into the clarity will come. The core purpose of national security is protection, stability, and resilience. Protection and safeguarding the nation's physical integrity, sovereignty, and the population safety of the population. What stability means? Maintaining internal order and preventing civil unrest. And resilience means building the capacity to withstand and respond to diverse threat in an interconnected world. Today, the world is a village. Everybody knows connectivity is this, and within 12 hours we can reach anywhere you want to. In all the above domains, the public at large has a major role to play. This is my point. In all the above, what I was speaking about, today the public at large has a major role to play. The effect of emerging and disruptive technology. Today's technology is emerging, but it is also known as disruptive technology. Artificial intelligence, augmented reality, quantum computing, and all these things are actually become good as well as bad. So the digital age is substantially altering the battle space, and so nobody is immune from being targeted in case of an all-out war. So it need not be at the start of the war. It may be 1 year before the war, 2 years before the war. All these things will be put into effect. Emerging strategic technologies like artificial intelligence and machine learning, robotics. Robotics can even replace soldier. IoT, Internet of Things, AR and VR, that is augmented reality and virtual reality and metaverse, quantum computing, and miniaturized wars are likely to play an increasingly important role in future warfare. India faces security threats that are no longer just about tanks at the border or human beings trying to capture the area. They range from terror attacks and border standoff to cyber hacks and information warfare, and finally gray zone warfare, including cognitive and hybrid warfare. These are new terminology which everybody need to understand and learn so that you can face it and you can get over it. So I'll just explain what is hybrid warfare, which is part of gray zone. First, I explain what is gray zone. Gray is something in between black and white. White means peace, no war, total peace situation. Black means full-fledged war. It is going on and missing. And the area in between is the gray. So that gray is when there is war, there is not war, there is disturbance, there is terrorism, there's so many things are. So it is known as gray zone warfare, which has got typical warfare like cognitive warfare and hybrid warfare. Hybrid warfare is a military strategy that blends conventional military tactics with unconventional methods to achieve political or strategic goals, often without resorting to formal full-scale war. It operates in the gray zone between peace and open conflict, relying on ambiguity and deniability to avoid triggering a conventional military response. It's a cheaper method. If you go for a full-fledged war, it is very expensive. There will be people, the soldiers will be dying, the population will be dying, and there will be so much of military equipment will get damaged, repaired, replaced, and all those things. It's a very expensive way of fighting war. But this gray zone warfare, the hybrid warfare, at the minimum expenditure, you'll ensure that the enemy or the target country is subjugated to a level economically, militarily, and population-wise. And with, when I said all the aspects which was mentioned, which is part of national security, it is all degraded to ensure that the aggressor or the country who is doing all these things get control over a thoroughly disjointed country. Key characteristics and methods of hybrid. Hybrid warfare is characterized by the single organized use of disinformation and propaganda, spreading false information and manipulating media to influence public opinion, sow doubt, and undermine trust in institutions. Just look back at, isn't it happening now actually? So you can see it happening across the world, this particular thing, disinformation and propaganda. And there are so many tools, so many domains which the enemy can use or the aggressor can use. Cyber attacks, targeting critical infrastructure, power grids, communication system, financial networks, your nuclear power stations, then your traveling arrangements. You recently saw what happened in the air traveling facilities, government facilities. Government has a lot of facilities which is providing it to the public, and business to disrupt economic and services. It is that will, one day something like that happens, the government has hell to pay. So cyber attacks will ensure that government goes into a backroom. Economic pressure, using sanctions, trade restrictions, and supply chain disruptions as weapons to achieve political objectives, disrupting sea lanes of communication with the help of sea pirates. Just think, isn't it happening? The tariff war and various other things, exploiting the tariff war, trying to dump things, all these things are happening. So the world is already having all these things. So this hybrid warfare is not a thing which start on a day and finish. It will continue and continue and continue till the enemy or the aggressor achieves his aim of making the target country totally dependent on the aggressor. Use of proxies and non-state actors. Employing militias, terrorist groups, or covert special forces, often without insignia, like Russia's little green men in Crimea, to maintain deniability. So use of proxies and non-state actors is a very good, very relevant thing which is happening across the world in number of countries. Political interference. Meddling in elections, funding specific political parties to keep the country divided, and exploiting societal fault lines to destabilize the target nation from within. Exploiting religion, exploiting caste and creed, and exploiting regionalism, and so many things. This political interference, this political domain is a most important aspect one has to understand in the gray zone and for employing hybrid warfare. Diplomatic pressure, using diplomatic channels to isolate the target or justify action through questionable legal claims. A powerful country can actually achieve it. It is happening in many places. You must have seen, the way the Middle East was exploited by USA. So, number of places they have done it, and they are isolated countries. They have attacked countries. All these put together, they have finally got what they wanted using diplomatic pressure. Sabotage and terrorism, nothing to speak about. Conducting acts of sabotage on infrastructure or supporting terrorist activities is a thing which is happening. You must have seen a number of issues like this, number of incidents like in India, trying to sabotage railway lines, trying to sabotage various other infrastructure facilities. All these things are happening by, it is all supported by the enemy country to ensure that, we go into a sort of limbo and we come into a role of, ambiguity. I will now explain what is the role of ambiguity. The defining feature of hybrid warfare is internal ambiguity. The moment all the above, what I have told you now, when it happens, the country gets into a state of ambiguity by keeping activities below the threshold of conventional warfare. All the activity above will ensure that, you can't make out whether it is an internal enemy or an external enemy. Is it conducted with outside money coming or from inside money coming? All these things there is an ambiguity. By keeping activity below the threshold of conventional warfare and obscuring the source of attacks, that's what I just mentioned, aggressors make it difficult for the targeted state to identify the perpetrator, determine an appropriate response to be done. So then there are, in a democratic country like us, we got a lot of restrictions, when you respond. So we cannot respond to our own people in the same way as we would have responded to the enemy. This is a very important aspect. That is where the role of the public will come in. How to understand, these are, how to identify these people who are people who are supporting destabilization of the country. This is where the public will have to get involved. and determine the appropriate response or invoke collective defense clauses. When you say collective defense clauses, it is not one particular activity, it is number of activities which is happening to ensure that ambiguity is no more there. This forces the victim into a cognitive impasse. When all these things happens, this forces the victim, that is any country for that matter, to do a cognitive impasse and often results in a reactive defensive posture. So you get into a defensive posture and say, let me just try to understand and all those things. And this particular state, they would have understood, the aggressor would have understood and they would have achieved partial success on this. And now they will put in the next phase of offensive in all these particular aspects just to make it further ambiguous and further confusing for the target enemy, target state. Some modern examples, if I could give, are notable examples are Russia's activities in Ukraine, not the current war. The annexation of Crimea in 2014 and subsequent actions has been a primary modern case study. Actually, what has happened to after this 2014 Crimea annexation, Russia had done a lot of things to ensure that the area which is next to, there is a bridge going from Crimea to Ukraine, and that is very important for Russia, because the Russian naval fleet is in Black Sea. So that's control of that naval fleet there in that sea is very important for them. So they had already done a lot of things from 2014 to 2020 to ensure that the area which they wanted, where maximum population of Russian population was there, they have done enough of this activity involving a combination of special forces, local proxies, cyber attacks, and intense information warfare. And when the war started in 2022, they have already had all the support from that area and they captured the area. So Russia's activities is an example, a notable example of that. Then China's actions on the South China Sea. China uses its Coast Guard, fishing militia. It is not a little blue man. And infrastructure development on artificial islands. They have made number of artificial islands in that area. Because dominating South China Sea is very important for them, which I said that is a sea lane of communication. That's the shortest sea lane of communication for them to reach the Malacca Strait and into the Indian Ocean and then get into the West. So that's very important for them. So their action of using Coast Guard, fishing militia, and infrastructure development on artificial islands to assert territorial claims and gradually expand control without triggering overt military conflict. And Philippines was affected about that. Vietnam was affected in that. So, but they never wanted a military conflict. In case of military conflict in that area, USA would have got directly involved. Japan would have got directly involved. South Korea probably would have got directly involved. Inadvertently, India also would have got involved. So this is the way these are the modern examples for hybrid warfare in the gray zone. Countering hybrid warfare requires a whole of nation approach, focusing on strengthening societal and institutional resilience. This is where the public's role comes in. Improving intelligence sharing and developing a comprehensive understanding. If this doesn't happen, you will be in a state of ambiguity and you will keep waiting for what is going to happen next. And by the time you understand, your country will come to a state of inertia and totally out of control. The democratic elected government would lose its control and people will overpower that by various means and ensure that country become vassal of the country who did all this attack on the target country. And now cognitive warfare. These are all part of, in the gray zone, hybrid warfare will take place, cognitive warfare will take place, and various other sort of warfare will also take place. Cognitive warfare is aimed at the mind of population. Cognitive warfare exploits vulnerabilities in information ecosystem to manipulate public opinion through the dissemination of disinformation and malinformation and their political variant, propaganda. Propaganda is another political. This in the cognitive warfare, they are aiming at making opinions in the minds of the population. It will be again a continuous process. That is where the political party will come into play. So it is a dissemination of disinformation and malinformation and propaganda on social media as well as on print media and electronic media, that is television. Today, if you open the television, you will see, you can make out, a person who is actually you can understand the things, can make out how the televisions are now. The electronic media used by political parties also. Electronic media is used by any group. So television services are done by a whole lot of people who are involved. You have religious television channels, you have political television channels, you have business television channels, and a whole lot of things. And print media, the newspapers, the print media is a lesser thing, but it comes on the internet, and that's also owned by all these people who can be influenced very easily. These tactics have also been clearly linked to hybrid warfare tactics. In fact, this will go simultaneously along with the hybrid warfare tactics, which I mentioned earlier. The adversaries may capitalize on these vulnerabilities to conduct intelligence operations. Once the opinion is made, intelligence operation and recruit agents. They will recruit agents and and carry out intelligence operations, or sow discord with segments of society or government institutions. Inside the government institution itself, they will create a sort of conflict. There will be people, they will be influenced, they will be bribed. All lot of things are there. Their children will be taken outside for education with no cost. There's so many things which can happen now because a lot of our Indians go out for education. So this is a very easy, thing to exploit. Counterintelligence effort must focus on identifying and mitigating these information vulnerabilities, prevent exploitation by threat actors. This is very important. This is where the role of public comes in. People have to understand it, analyze it, don't fall for it, and things like fall for all these things to ensure that our country is not becomes subjugated because of difference in opinion, difference in various aspects of life. So I'd just like to quote, say by the great Sun Tzu, to win 100 victories in 100 battles is not the acme of skill. To subdue the enemy without fighting is the acme of skill. So that Sun Tzu made this statement 5-6 centuries ago, and that is being done by where he was born. And it's very evident that China is doing all these things in the country, in complete Africa, in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in the Central Asian republics, and in the Middle East, and trying to do the same in India also. China is master of this. China is doing it across the board. Now, the important thing, the public. The public is the foundation of India's national security, playing roles from reporting suspicious activities and supporting defense, ensuring societal stability through economic well-being, social harmony, and vigilance against misinformation. Making citizen-centric strategies and public awareness crucial for a holistic national defense is very important. They contribute to economic security, social cohesion, and are essential in cyber information security, acting as the first line of defense by being aware and engaged in the nation's overall strategy. So that's what the role of public. That's the role of public. It is a foundation of India's national security, because India. What is India? It is a congregation of all the public, all the civil infrastructure, all the public and civil infrastructure for the well-being of the public, all the population of India. So that is, India's national security. To ensure that is safe and secure is responsibility of India's national security. And that is where the people have to get involved, understand these problems, how to face it and how to sort it out, and how to ensure that we don't fall into that. Because today the war is not on the boundaries, or not on the borders, as already said, not on the borders, not in the sea, not in the air. It is going to be at your doorstep. You are part and parcel of any warfare in a very long term. So that point has to be understood. So in India, what people are, everybody is bothered to themselves. I'm sorry saying that. They don't even look left, right, center. And only when something affects him, he makes hell of a sound, hell of a, this thing. And he goes into social media, he goes into various things. Something directly affects him. So that in effect is going to create enmity between somebody else inside the thing. So that sort of activity actually had caused from time immemorial for people from outside, for forces from outside to come and occupy us. We are fully aware of how our country was occupied by, the raiders from Afghanistan and raiders from the Middle East, and they came, ruled us for over 700-800 years. And then came the British, who ruled us for a good about 200 years and things like that. It is because of, and they made use of us. How many Britishers were here when they were ruling? There are 500 Britishers, and the entire country was them, and we were fighting for them in the First World War, in the Second World War, and wherever our boys were fighting against them. So they ensured that the country is divided, and they ensured that our capability is used for their safety and security. It should not happen again. That those things have to come. Then later on, when we got independent, the country was divided into three. So all these things happened. That should not happen. And this is the time the public has to get involved. Public has to understand and support the government, whichever government is here, and to ensure the safety and integrity of the country and safety and integrity of the public. Key roles of the public: vigilance and reporting. This is very important because what I've seen is anything happening. The first thing is what is going to happen with me? I'm not going to tell anything. If somebody finds out me, this thing will be in trouble. So I will not do reporting. I will not do anything. So this is a very important aspect. We have to get out of that thing. Citizens should develop habit of observation and understanding what are the characteristics of internal enemy. This is very important. By seeing it, you can easily make it up. Citizens have an attitude of being episodic. Some episode take place, he becomes very active. And then after that, he goes to sleep and bothers about himself only. So citizens have an attitude of being episodic and ignoring problems and dangers in our neighborhood. Should get over this attitude and should be encouraged to report suspicious activities, helping security forces to maintain peace and prevent threats. I'm just making it in just very small words, but it involves a lot of things. When vigilance and reporting involves a lot of things, once this happens, the government will get involved in your safety. There is no doubt about that. Cohesion. Get out of petty politics, religious and caste creed consideration, and remain united for the cultural heritage and unity of our country. This is being exploited across the board by a whole lot of people. And the thing has to be understood that these people are all paid. The people who are dividing in these lines are all paid, and all their activities, all their personal activities are taken care of by the enemy force, or by the people who are the perpetrators are already taking control of their life, and they are the people who are getting into politics to divide on the religion, caste, creed, and various other other domains. And we have to understand that and remain united for the cultural heritage. We have a cultural heritage across the board. Be it any of these religious, any of the caste, any of the creed, we have a cultural heritage. So for the cultural heritage, unity of the country, we have to remain united. Informed participation. A knowledgeable public supports national security initiatives and understand broader threats. And that is by reading and seeing and understanding various, you can see through social media. So knowledgeable public support. Knowledgeable means the knowledge has to be acquired yourself. Security initiatives understands broader threats, including cyber warfare and misinformation, disinformation campaign. It's more of a disinformation campaign which is going on. Become cyber defense warriors. This is the time for public to become cyber defense warriors, eyes and ears for the country, information defense warriors, economic defense warriors, etc. And there are so many domains in which you can become the warriors to ensure that the government gets support, and government requires that support to ensure that we have 1.5 crore, 1.5 billion population here. Citizens need to learn and train on how to respond to an attack. This is basic thing. One of my friend was telling when he was traveling in Israel. So he was traveling in a car. The driver was very good. Driver was going. But at the same time, the driver was looking left, right. The road was totally empty. But driver was so alert and active. He was looking left, right, center, and he was very alert. And he knew what to do in case of anything happens. So this sort of thing should happen. That this sort of response to this sort of thing should be inbuilt in the population, so that you should know how to respond to an attack. Social and economic stability. A well-nourished, educated, aware, and prosperous populace fosters national pride. It's very important. A well-nourished, educated, aware, awareness is very important. Aware and prosperous populace, that is the public, fosters national pride. Once national pride and it goes to unity and reduces internal unrest. So this is in your own hands. To ensure internal unrest, you have to be aware, you have to be prosperous, you have to ensure that you're, educated, and educate your friends also, educate your people who are there also. That is where your social responsibility comes in. And this will contribute to overall security, social, food, and economy. Democracy and governance. In a democracy, fundamental rights, free media, and strong institutions like police, justice empower citizens, making them stakeholders in security, not just subjects. Citizens as stakeholders should volunteer to be aware and be prepared to counter hybrid warfare in these domains. That's very important. Citizen has to become aware of how hybrid warfare can be employed in this strong institutions like police, justice. So, because again, police and justice all are human beings. That beings can be manipulated by hybrid warfare. So there also you are also part of, you can also be manipulated. This particular has to be understood, and people have to be trained, and they have to take that additional step to ensure that their hybrid warfare in these domains are understood and how to counter it. Community resilience. Now we go to community resilience. Community is also made of public. So empowered local communities managing local resources, water, forest, build stronger, more resilient foundations against external and internal challenges. Citizens should volunteer for managing local resources in case of adversities. I have seen number of places it is happening. This is already there in our minds, but you have to give little more managing resources in case of adversities. I have seen, adversity can be on the road also. There is a mass accident which has taken place. Some people will go and some people will just leave it and go. So this particular aspect has to be inbuilt in, you have to train for that. Support for self-reliance. Public support for unhindered economic development initiatives like Make in India and self-reliance in defense, health, rare earth mining. Rare earth mining is now there is a lot of things. Rare earth mining is happening because control of rare earth, whoever controls rare earth is going to control the air. And emerging technology strengthens the nation's resilience. These are very important. Public support in unhindered economic development of the country is a very important aspect. Understand the pros and cons of it. Understand how it can be, without creating problems for the public and the environment, how it can be done. That has to be understood. And you have to be part of that to strengthen the nation's resilience. Understand the effects of modern warfare techniques. It is important for public at large and younger generation to understand nuances of gray zone warfare, which I had explained in brief, including hybrid and cognitive warfare. Domains which the adversary will use are social media, education, media, print and electronic, religion and caste, politics, regionalism, governance. The bureaucrats will be, they can easily, targeted by cognitive warfare and gray zone warfare. Economic state, bureaucracy, all these things are very important. So you have to understand it is important for the public at large and the younger generation, who is going to be the future of the country, to understand nuances of gray zone warfare, including the hybrid and cognitive warfare domains, which I have explained now. The public should not fall prey to these types of modern techniques to keep population divided and fighting. If that happens, the country is basically of population. If they keep fighting, what is a country then? Necessary training for this will be responsibility of the government. It's very important. Now, I will just go on to the government's role in engaging the public. Citizen-centric strategy. That's very important because we are a representative democracy. So representative democracy, we choose people to represent, so many people, that is a representative democracy. National security planning must involve public consultation and aim to raise awareness, reflecting people's values. It's very important. So this has to come down to the level, and so that's when you have to elect the right person to go there. So if the right person with the right education, right awareness is elected, this will happen. National security planning must involve public consultation and aim to raise awareness, because in the parliament and when all these things are discussed there. Nowadays, it is not being discussed because of, again, creating problems and, nothing is happening. They're only collecting money for attending the parliament and nothing happening. But still they will be aware. There will be classes. They will be part of the various committees. They will understand it. So, reflecting people values, national security planning must evolve. This will come out when that you have to ask. Though citizen-centric strategy is both ways. The the government has to do it, and citizen has to do it. Transparency and communication. Open dialogue through free media helps build trust and provides a platform for government-citizen interface on security matters. So it's very important for government to have their platform, that is media, their media platforms. For that is that is conveyed to the public and they understand it, rather than the other media platforms misguiding them by disinformation and misinformation campaigns, which is already there. Holistic view. Recognizing that national security extends beyond military might to include environmental, health, and economic well-being require broad societal engagement. This also has to be made. People have to be made understand this. Education. This is a very important aspect. Need of the hour is to educate children about gray zone warfare, which includes hybrid warfare and cognitive warfare, and its effect on national security and themselves. It will affect them as they grow, and the survival of Indian culture and nationality. Once again, we have to educate the children about gray zone warfare and its effect on national security and survival of Indian culture and nationality, which involves them. Which involve them also. The decision to open Chinese schools in all districts of India, one per district, is a positive development. This has happened, I have seen, but only place I have seen which is not happening, one state is Tamil Nadu, not a single one has opened. Whereas in most of the other states, at least 3-4 districts, the Chinese school have opened. I have been to 2 of them in Kerala. Gradual increase in NCC vacancies will also help in the long run, because these are certain things which will, there are certain things which they will be ingrained in this thing, national security aspect, national pride and things will get ingrained in them. And that will make their mind to work towards what I said in the earlier, what is the role of the public at large to do. This will come into their mind automatically. So gradual increase in NCC vacancies will also help in the long run. Degree and postgraduate courses in national strategic studies should also be instituted. So I've seen in Bangalore, some of the universities have got this degree and postgraduate courses in national strategic studies. And they come for, when we go for discussion on various things on national strategy and, and various things in the think tanks, the students come, they ask very valid questions. That's very important to note that they ask very, very important questions. Very, coming from them, it makes us learn something. So this is very important. At the national the courses on national strategic studies should be instituted. Job opportunities for such graduates is a separate subject by itself, and it is not being discussed. There are many ways of doing it. I am not discussing it here. National security strategy courses for all bureaucrats. This is one thing in my 33 years of service in the army, I have realized that national security strategy courses, I'll come to some problems later on. National security strategy courses for all bureaucrats, because most of the bureaucrats, they are in some department, this thing, and they work in stores. Whereas national security is not only defense ministry, it is in all. It is in IT ministry, it is in education ministry, it is in your home ministry, everything is involved. National strategy, national security is everything, everywhere. So the bureaucrats who is controlling that should know what exactly it is. So therefore, there is a requirement. In addition to the basic courses in Missouri, all bureaucrats should undergo short national security strategy course from time to time. So they understand, they become part of it. Because all department and public will be affected or will be collectively responsible for national security. We have collective responsibility to understand and thought gray zone actions by adversaries guided by such trained bureaucrats. Who is actually ruling the country is a bureaucrat. Representative democracy, they go 5 years, 6 years, and then actually the bureaucrats are the permanent guys. So they have to be fully aware of this. So that is very important aspect which I would like to project. And some problems identified, I would like to just mention. This is very important. In a country, if all these things has to happen in a war, full-fledged war, and along, gradually this hybrid warfare and, gray zone warfare increases and comes into a full-fledged war. So where we are at a disadvantage because being divided and being, we are not fully aware, asking for proof of various things. And then that is where we are in a very difficult situation. So availability of reservists in case of a war is very important aspect. Current availability of reservists under 45 years in India is just about 37,000. I got this data from the center. So 37,000 is not enough. We require at least 4 to 5 lakh reservists. Where do you get that? That also below 45 years, who can act in various other things when there is a thorough, complete warfare? The army is involved, navy is involved, air force is involved, the BSF is involved, police is involved, the government this thing is involved. We require reservists to understand the thing. So how do you find this? So this is, to a great extent, this will be addressed gradually once the Agniveers come out of armed forces. The new things, Agniveers are, they are for 5 years. And when they come out, only 25 to 30% goes in, maximum 50% go into that. So 50% come out. So they are already trained in various things. They have the various knowledge of how to be, how to act as a reservist in whatever task they get. So this will get addressed gradually once the Agniveers come out of the armed forces in the next 5 to 6 years. So this is another problem identified. We have national assets. We have got a lot of national assets, human beings, public, national assets. When I say national assets, who are actually doing things for improving our technology, improving our research work and all those things. We as a country do not have a practice of announcing people who contribute to nation building as our national assets. Since they require protection always. That's what I'm telling you. That protection can be given by the government. How will the government give protection for all? That protection can be given by public once they understand. So my proposal is we should announce, this is going on in the country, it's not only mine. We should announce all the scientists working in our research labs and manufacturing sectors as national assets and protected from grey zone and hybrid warfare. This is very important. If they become part of grey zone and hybrid warfare, we had it. Because they are our strength, they are our assets. If they become, affected by this, there will be hell to pay. So there may be more such assets which you all can identify and project in the long run. Just before ending, it's more than 30 minutes now, I think. Just before ending, some food for thought, I will project it to you. It's very important and you can think about it. The first one is there a need to change the name of Ministry of Defense or Defense Ministry to Ministry of National Security? And Home Ministry to Ministry of Internal Security under the Ministry of National Security. Is that name Ministry of Defense made our mindset to defend only? This is my question. Because we are only thinking about defense. We are not thinking about how to ensure that we are safe. Defending is when you are attacked, isn't it? So defense ministry is when you are attacked, you become defense. How do you become a defense ministry? So mindset has to change. So my point is that mindset has to change. So make it into Ministry of National Security. If we go to analyze, analyze all these things, use all the technology to understand and ensure that we don't have to go into defense. We have to ensure that it doesn't come into us. We doesn't get affected by all these things. That will only happen if our attitude toward defense is out of the defense attitude, because we have to think into future. We have to think how these things can affect our country, how these things can affect our population. So we have to get into that. So that defense, that mentality should go out of our mind so that we think about future and we do something. And this basic thing should go out and make it Ministry of National Security and Home Ministry Home Ministry is, look inwards only. So Home Ministry to Ministry of Internal Security under this thing together as one ministry. So that defense mentality should go from the bureaucrats, from the government, the people who are ruling us, the political setup, and the population. That attitude of defense only that should go. So there is a need to integrate important ministries with Ministry of National Security. That's also there, because national security is not only the role of the Army, Navy, Air Force, or BSF, or things like that. Every other ministry has a role. Finance ministry has got a role. So where is the money going to come from? The IT ministry has got a role, because the cyber warfare and cyber this thing and various other things are under them. The education ministry, what is to be educated? People has to be educated as to what the public has to do for ensuring the national security strategy. And many things like that. And there will be a whole lot of industry ministry. They have to make things for ensuring that our national security is at the top level. So this is very important because I have observed most ministries try to protect their turf or they work in silos. This is I have observed it. Most ministries do that. They work in silos. They just put the round around them. They don't look left and right till the time some serious incident takes place and till the time from everything comes from top to bottom. So, to conclude, the entire world is undergoing churning and change. India, Bharat, needs to carry out some predictive modeling and trend forecasting to be prepared to come out successfully through this churning and unpredictable situation. While doing so, take the citizen together since national security in India is a shared responsibility where an empowered, aware, and unified public forms the bedrock of protecting the nation from diverse threats as explained. Thank you very much. And I finished my talk. I am ready for questions. And before asking questions, kindly tell your name and ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Sandeep Kumar ji, you have touched on lot of areas, the grey zone warfare and the internal security threats and how the public have to react, how they should be educated, the bureaucrats' education, and finally you are also suggesting Ministry of Defense name change also. See, we never call Ministry of Disease, we call Ministry of Health, right? Okay, so why, as you are rightly suggested, why it should be called defense? It should be internal security. If I name, let's say, if we think of naming Ministry of Disease, nobody would like it, isn't it? We call it Health Ministry because the doctor has a role. He has got the first protector and giver of the health, then the treater of the disease. Likewise, the defense people also, the ensuring security and safety is the first thing. Then, of course, in an adverse situation, when somebody attacks knowingly or unknowingly, visibly or invisibly, the defense part will come. And as you rightly said, the war is not happening at the borders, not with the army, not with the air force, not with the navy, but within us. And you have also shown us the examples how our country was used by our own people are used to for the benefit of those people, the invaders. Over centuries, we had that problem. And this again puts us back in the same question, we as a public awareness is very important for us. To that defense is, security is everybody's priority. So we have to understand educated people, particularly people who worked in army, people who worked in higher positions like you. Already you are taking interest to educate us, and I'm very happy that this talk was so stimulating. And see, as you said, mostly we think, unless it comes to us, we will not think about protecting ourselves or securing ourselves. If there is a fire in the next house, it's not at me, it's not in this house. So let it come to me, then I will think. That is the attitude we all have. So that is an attitudinal change. There are three aspects importantly. The knowledge aspect. Most of us are not aware how best we can protect ourselves and help the government and other organizations to do that. That is, the knowledge has to be given. The attitudes have to be modified and trained. And finally, we have to put it into practice, the KIAP part of it. I am really fascinated to hear such a wide coverage of the subject, right from the what are all the security systems and what is the role of public, the politicians, the bureaucrats, the government, everything you have covered in such a short time, about 45 minutes. I request my colleagues here to interact with the speaker and clarify any wonderful doubts. But let me open for everyone. Otherwise, they will not be able to open it. You can also open speaker, sir. Once I open it, yours also get muted. Please open it. So now you can open, all of you can open and give your comments. Anand Kumar ji and Siddharth and Narayanan, Surya Narayana ji, Ma Seshadri Amma, and then anyone else. Please open yourself and speak.
Thank you, Sri Sandeep Kumarji. That was a very wonderful talk, I should say, covering so many aspects. It has particular relevance because I come from the nuclear industry. So I understand the depth to which one has to make public aware about the possibilities of both internal and external forces. I my clarification I would need on one aspect. I remember that when we were very young, in pre-university level courses and all, we had a NCC program which was compulsory. Uh, as of now, I don't see that in the present. Do you think that such a thing should be reintroduced because it did serve some purpose, like what you mentioned in your talk?
Yeah, I remember. Thank you, Ms. Uma Sheshadriji, for the question. It's a very relevant question. See, having NCC and without, NCC is a good thing. I am a C certificate holder of the NCC. My brother got into army through NCC, so I am fully aware of and that time NCC was compulsory. When my brother was studying, my elder brother was studying. See, that time there were a number of students were less. Today the NCC has to be made compulsory. See the number of students which are going to be there. So, and see the people who are supposed to be employed for the NCC battalions and NCC group headquarters and all those things. Where are the people coming from? They are all coming from armed forces. Do we have those many people to be spared for such things? Now also, we are actually thinking of, giving this role of looking after the NCC battalions and training them to retired ex-servicemen less than 45 years. That is thought about. That thing is being thought about, that so that people who are actually in serving in the army, navy, or air force are not taken out to run the NCC battalions and NCC directorates. So to have this compulsory system will create a big problem for how running it. The effect is that you should do a good job. So that is why the government has initiated this initiative of Sainik schools. So Sainik schools from class 6 to class 12. So that is enough. That automatically and it is not only government schools which is taking it. It's private schools which are taking this Sainik schools in Kerala. I've seen two places. I've seen two private schools are taken. So that is it. So over a period of time, NCC camp, NCC already have been, the Prime Minister Modi has given a direction that the strength has to be increased, but it cannot be made, compulsory because of the problems which I enunciated. Thank you.
Now that it's nice news to hear that Sainik schools are being opened in large numbers in all the states, and it will be very nice venture to have it. So my brother is from Sainik School, Korkonda in Andhra Pradesh, and he retired as a brigadier last month. So I understand the importance of keeping one member of the family in the army, and that every one of us probably train children. Not only do you go to medicine, you go to IT, you become this, you become IAS. We should motivate the children from the childhood itself. At least some of them could take up jobs in armed forces, getting trained in Sainik schools on relevant areas. So parents should not desist them if somebody is interested. They should not tell them, no, don't go to army. No, you may have problem. Not like that. So it is. I think that's important from the parents as well as from the wards also to think about that as a service to the nation. I guess the best service to the nation anyone can have is a defense service, is a national security service. I am very proud to have you here, just like my brother. So any other service is next to the country's safety and security, isn't it? Very nice. Anybody else? Dear members, anyone has any comments or suggestions or any appreciation of what is taught?
Yeah,
All of them are muted.
Yeah. It was a very excellent talk. In fact, I think you opened up a lot of points for discussion. And I did not imagine that there are going to be so many security issues. So we are rather mostly engrossed with IT issues only today. We are not looking at other issues on a day-to-day life. My question is actually the awareness in the public, actually. The awareness in the public of all these security aspects which we have been indicating. The IQ levels of probably the people, like only 5% of the people know their population, or maybe less than that also, who have so much knowledge of what the security aspects which you are talking. And I think the masses are probably, you should say, India is predominantly only villages, like what we say, huge villages. It is not percolated to that level. How do we get it down to that level so that uh, the patriotism thing has to be there in the blood? Otherwise, we will be always under threat. Actually, that's what's happening. What is the mechanism which you think you can suggest or to look at?
This is a very relevant aspect which you have mentioned. I have also mentioned we have to educate everybody to this particular aspect before they are exploited into these limits. So this is a point which has to be raised to the government. The government has to identify. That's why education. The syllabus has to change.
Yes.
This particular aspect has to be included. The people who are to be taught is the children in the schools and then going to the college. This particular aspect has to be put in their syllabus. And they either, it can be put in a number of places. It can be put in social studies. It can be put in English. It can be put in their local language. All these levels, this has to be put because this is a very important aspect of national security. So this particular aspect, like in class 6, you put this hybrid warfare, what exactly, what enemy wants to do, what is enemy, how, what is the thing which any enemy country will do. These sort of things, that's why I said, make it a national security ministry. The education ministry also has to come into that and give something. So that is the first step. When the child goes and tells the parents in the house, in the village, the parents will understand. The parents will listen to the children. Why I am telling you, we did something for waste management here. We went to the schools and taught them, told the children, this is how the waste has to be managed. This is how it is segregated. The children ensure that parents do it. So
Yes.
this will actually help the target population of the children. Once they learn it upwards and they carry the thing and they will ensure that parents also understand the particular point.
Yes.
This is the only solution which I can find. And towards that, a lot of this retired exotism can be made use of.
Correct.
There are so many of them which they will be willing to undertake this particular thing in local language also, in various other languages. So this is what I think, and I think you all should put it across in various social media aspects and directly write all these aspects to the Prime Minister and things like that. So I'm sure over a period of time, maybe 5-6 years, this will happen.
Thank you.
Very nice, sir. I think, as you suggested, introducing national security and safety as a subject in the schools from somewhere around 6th standard onwards to the 10th, 11th standard would be a very right move. Maybe they're busy in the 11, 12 because of their competitive exams and all. At least up to the 10th standard. And also they must be given an opportunity to write a small exam and what did they learn, and so that they will be tuned to study that subject with seriousness. So just like health education, education about sex education for children, we are doing nowadays. How to have what is safe sex behavior, how to distance themselves from sex evils. We are teaching them like that. This also should be one of the important subjects. And as you said, it is not about the caste, kind, creed, or any other division. Now, India has got a very rich heritage. On top of that, we are one nation when it comes to defense, and there's no second thought about that. I think it's very important that grooming children will definitely go a long way in bringing this very good solution to this. Nice, very nice. If there are any questions, we would try to see. Otherwise, we would have the announcements and thank the speaker and close the meeting. So let me make an announcement about the next talk. The next talk is by Sri Ravi Shankar. He resides opposite to me in this lane itself. He is going to Narayanan. The topic also I have given you.
Yeah, I see. I see.
So he has given a topic about the safety of senior citizens,
Okay.
about the secure transactions. When they make some transactions, financial transactions on the net or on the mobile, how to protect themselves with the safety. It's a very important information for all of us. He's a very knowledgeable person and who worked in different banks and very financial organizations. And I'm sure Sandeep ji must be knowing Ravi Shankar very closely. He is one of the office bearers here in the community, and he must have interacted with you on several issues. He is also in the force GW. So Ravi Shankar will be talking on the next, that is in Jan. The day comes as which day is it?
25th.
25th Jan, Sunday, same time. So we will welcome him at that time. If time permits, I request our current speaker, today's speaker also, to join the talk so that it will be complementary to what he is talking. Other than that, no other announcement.
I got a vote of thanks, no?
Yeah, please do that.
Thank you, Brigadier Sandeep Kumar, for enlightening us on the national security. In fact, I should be proud that to say that this topic is the first time in this about 180 meetings we already convened, already 192. This topic is the first time we discuss a very different topic. I only feel very bad with that. Most of our patrons have missed this good talk. We normally have attends over 20 or 30 people. Today we have over 10, but doesn't matter. But definitely, as our vice president will get it recorded and circulated, I think it should benefit the members. And thanks to vice president, take active participation in roping in. I think excellent speakers. I think we are getting a new variant. Last couple of months, he's got into the stride of bringing new speakers, new blood into the whole FOSWL. And thanks to Vice President. Of course, President in his own way, he does things, and Vice President does his own things. Everyone have their way of doing things in their own fashion. But definitely, it will benefit the association, and it is definitely benefiting, I should say. Thanks to Anand Kumar also and Sidhu, who introduced you to the, who said the introduction for the meeting. And he's also a youngster who's nowadays taking active part, in fact. So with all this, I will say goodbye and thanks to Zoom, not list. Otherwise, this meeting would have been possible. We have been having the meetings in the Zoom for a couple of years, like the start of COVID itself. Thanks to all the people who have attended also. And definitely, people who have missed it, I would definitely request them to have the recording seen and benefit the from the meeting. Thank you.
Now, as a closing remark, we always have the habit of recording every talk. As usual, this is also recorded, as Narayanan said, and it will be circulated. And I request our speaker also to circulate this talk to his other contacts. Those who have missed the talk or they wanted to hear you, they will be able to see. We will, of course, circulate to all our members. Another important thing that happened, I shifted into this community around 7-8 months. And this is a very elite group of people and who have worked in various fields in very higher capacities. With the result, I am having able to have an access to this their brain power, which can be tapped into our FOSWL. And following Ravi's talk, there is going to be another wonderful speaker, Venkat. He is going to speak in February. And of course, March will be our routine turn, where I will be speaking on a health topic. So this is for now, everything is fine. And I say good luck to everyone. Happy New Year to all of you. Let's welcome the new year with vigor and enthusiasm. And bye for now. Thank you, sir. I'm ending the meeting for everyone. Namaskar.